not coming through yet. Hi, and welcome to Cahoots Live. What's the date today? Sunday, November 5th?
It's the 5th.
And our guest today is Fort Papalia. Hey, Fort.
They don't.
Fort, if you don't know, well, actually, Fort, why don't you tell us what you do?
Well, you've asked me to be on here as representative of Kincardine Pride, and I'll let you know how we got going and where we're at.
So when did you first get the idea? When did it hit you that you went, this town needs a pride parade?
Okay. Well, I've always kind of envied other places that had pride parades because they look so much fun. Everybody's out there, friends and family and having fun. I thought, I don't really want to drive 2-3 hours to go somewhere and the crowds and all that stuff. And then last summer we had, I guess, an incident where people from out of town were bringing a homophobic, misogynistic message to Kincardine, and it got a big headline. And people were calling them out. Like, people were calling the police. They were making insulting and horrible comments to women on the street. And so it really bothered. I was happy that people were calling them out, and they left town, and I don't think they've ever come back. But it bothered me, and I kept thinking, well, there should be outrage, a response, a community response, rather than just individuals.
What's really nice about our town is that is so far the minority is that type of person. Like, yeah,
well, and that's sort of what you set out to do, right? Is to show that there is support.
Well, one of the comments I got quite often. I came up with the idea. Let's see if anybody's interested in having a pride parade, and my colleague from the theater, Sandy Blackwood, said, yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah.
And right away, when we started mentioning it to people either said, awesome, it's about time, this town needs that.
Yes.
Or they said, do you think Kincardine's ready? It's pretty conservative. Are you sure you want to do this? So we thought, well, we'll put it out there, give it an opportunity, and see where it goes.
But through the whole process, you were met with more support than you were naysayers, right?
It was unbelievable. We had, starting right off the bat, Quinn Ross at the Ross firm said, we'll do we'll donate the legalities and incorporate as a nonprofit so that we could apply for grants and show that we're not a fly-by-night whimsical thing, that we're serious. And
you said they donated that to those services, right?
Yeah, we paid for the actual incorporation fees ourselves, but they donated the paperwork to become incorporated. Because I looked at it online, I thought it was mind-boggling just to incorporate, and I thought, so that was amazing. And then other groups started coming forward. The Grey Bruce Labour Council, the municipality of Kincardine, the community foundations, Grey Bruce.
Wow. And is this the first Pride Parade in Southwestern Ontario?
I wouldn't say Southwestern, but in Grey Bruce, I think Huron, maybe Perth. I'm not sure where the borders.
Okay.
And there may have been other events like picnics or movie nights and things like that, but not
the first
an
big
actual
organized
street parade.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of response, and I had people started coming up to me and saying, that I didn't know. I hear you're doing this. We're getting.
Were you because it was really well attended? Like, were you surprised by by the feedback and by the volume of people that joined in and participated?
When Sandy and I left the park, Connaught Park, with carrying our banner, at first we were overwhelmed, thinking it's actually happened, like dream come true, risk and you think you don't know where this is going to go, and it's happening.
Yeah.
And then when we turned the corner at Queen and Broadway and looked down the street at this sea of people, but it wasn't just a number of people, it was the energy, the cheering, the excitement, the waving, the signs, the colors, the grassroots involvement rather than just watching a parade go by.
Yeah.
And it was all we could do to keep under our emotions under control. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and I was marching not too far behind you. I went and joined my family in the parade, and it was like, I knew it would be an event, but I kind of expected like, oh, it'll be people I know. I'll recognize everyone there. I know the supporters in town.
And it's the first one too. You don't expect it to be like that, but yeah.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was
we had
astounding.
people come as far as Sarnia, Detroit, I think Meaford.
No way.
I talked to someone who had come from Detroit. Yeah, I talked to her on the way back, walking back to get my car. She started telling me all about how she had just.
And how did she hear about it? I
think friends who cottaged here.
Wow.
Yeah. We had the mayor of Brockton, Goderich. We had people come from Toronto, even though it was the same weekend as the Toronto Pride weekend.
Yeah.
They thought, let's go to a small town and.
That's huge.
Well, having been to I've been to Toronto Pride a number of times, and because when I lived there, we'd all go, and it's amazing, but it never filled me with that same sense of pride that I felt in our community and in like the people in our community, the individuals, like that did.
If I could speak to that, one of the doubts that people presented to me was. How do you that they expected it to be when they hear the word pride? They expected a spectacle and something outrageous.
They're expecting carnival.
Yeah, and that's not what we intended or wanted. We wanted a family-friendly community. It's not putting on a show or it's just come and show your support for equality. That this is the community. That we are, not that other presentation, and
you guys achieved that. That's what it was. It was a family-friendly, good vibes, and nothing. And I didn't hear anything that went wrong.
What moved me the most, I think, was so many young families bringing their preschool children, both to participate in the parade and spectate colors. They want their children to grow up in a caring, inclusive community before they even go to school. Yeah. Everyone, they're your friend. You treat people with compassion, acceptance.
It gives you a lot of hope for the future, the way things are going.
Exactly.
Right?
Even just within my family, there was 3 generations of our family there represented. The children, me and my siblings and my sister and my cousins, and then my mom and other people of that generation. And it really was overwhelming to just be seeing the support, because there's so many people I love who have dealt with the struggle of facing a community that they weren't sure if they were supported by, and it's nice to know that people in our community may grow up not feeling that.
And again, to break down stereotypes, people think maybe older generation are more conservative, and it's mostly that people my age are we're saying it's about time. Let's get over get over it.
Absolutely.
Whatever that.
Yeah, and it really is like you've done a great job. Now, for this year, I know you've already had. I think you've already had an event, sort of as a fundraiser and sort of a meet and get to know each other kind of event. Do you have more of those planned for this year?
Yes. How did that post over there? Yes, we had a social network, just friendly, get involved, meet people, just kick back, relax, at Hog's Breath in October, and we're going to have another one coming up Wednesday, November 22nd, I believe. So just for our friends, allies, supporters, just come out, meet people, have fun, share ideas, what you'd like to see happen.
So what can we what can we expect for next year for changes and growth and improvement, and what are some of the feedback that people are giving you?
Well, one of the I guess major things we needed to improve on was having food vendors after the parade.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, well, we did have something lined up, and then the person didn't show up, and we had a lot of families and kids, and it was getting 1 o'clock, and people were getting hungry, so people left. That if there'd been food on site, they would have stayed, I believe, because we had entertainment. We had Krista Ritchie and other singers ready to perform, and little kids are getting hungry and all that. Well, so we'll definitely look at having more food post parade.
As it gets bigger too, it's going to be, people are going to come out and volunteer, I think, to do those things. As they start to realize that this is not going anywhere, I think you're going to start to see a lot of outpouring of support from local vendors and local businesses.
Did you have a big team of volunteers?
We had, yes, on the day of, we had a lot of people, team of volunteers decorate Victoria Park, the gazebo, help with intersections, crosswalks, barricades. A lot of people came forward then. So that was amazing. The community, the businesses were on board decorating. One of the, again, doubts that I heard was, businesses don't like the street being closed. That's not true. That wasn't true at all.
No, every business owner I've talked to loves when that happens, because their sales go through the roof.
Exactly. So a lot of things, don't believe at first.
When people tell you something's impossible, it's because they don't want you to be able to do it.
Usually.
They because they don't think they could do it. I that's what I've found in my experience. So if they just don't believe that it's possible, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. Because what you did, anyone who's ever planned an event, you've planned live events, I've planned live events. I think a lot of people here in this room right now have planned live events, and I think all of us can speak to how hard it is, even if you're only expecting 100 people to show up.
And again, to address the goal and the numbers, people kept saying, well, do you think anybody's going to come? Or I've had people say, well, my friends don't want to come because they think there's going to be protests and possible violence.
People just make up stories in their head.
So they didn't come because of that. And I kept trying to stay focused and tell people, look, even if it's just me and Sandy or our committee, and it makes a difference to one person, one kid, one family on the sidelines that says, I'm not alone, somebody is supportive, somebody cares, then that was it, regardless of whether there were 10 people or 1,000. It's the difference it made. And from what I heard back from strangers, articles, newspaper, it made a big difference to people's lives. I think it's a cultural shift.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for doing what you've done, and thank you for being here today. Now, you wanted to share so people have come out to support and sponsor. Actually, before you tell us who's sponsoring, is there any way that people can reach out to you if they want to sponsor the event?
Thanks, Dylan. We're on Facebook, Kincardine Pride. We're on Twitter at Pride Kincardine. Our Gmail is kincardinepride@gmail. So it's pretty easy to remember. They can reach out.
We've got our producer Bob. He's getting in there and putting that in the comments so people can, if you're watching right now, it'll be in the comments so you can get involved with it.
And we're linked on Facebook as well. So if they go to you, they can find us.
Sure, we'll add links down there. So get involved, everybody.
That would be great.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
And so you had some sponsors that you wanted to thank as well.
I'm afraid if I forget anyone, but people that donated either money or services, ads. Progressive Results Group was a huge support. They made our posters, our banner. They were awesome. Right there for us, whatever we needed. The Independent, the Kincardine News was supportive of many articles.
There's lots. There's almost too many to remember. That's awesome.
Yeah. And a little aside, we were able to get a PFLAG group going.
Okay.
Parents and friends of gay and lesbians being looked after by friends of ours, Kathy and Steve Hamill. So awesome. There's a PFLAG group, which is separate from us, but that's another resource for people that need more in the way of like support or that type of thing, rather than organizing events and fun and and all that. So
well, thank you, Fort, for being here today.
Well,
now stay tuned, because we do have another guest coming up. We're going to go to a quick break, and then we'll be back with our musical guest, Skarni.
Look more like a painting, and I got the little bee edition there. This one's called Vincent's Dandelions because of Vincent van Gogh. People ask me how I got the bee in there, so I tell them that I trained him and that his name is Vincent. So it's my little dragonfish, I guess, if you will. He's actually made out of what's called a sea dragon. It's a little animal that you can see at the Toronto Aquarium there. I've done my little Sarah Chisholm magic and given him a dragon's head. I used a photograph to make him, but his head is obviously a dragon's head, and the dragon is actually a 3,000-year-old statue hanging in the ROM. So that's where the head came from. So this one is a little bit different. It is a painting that I did create on my computer. Sort of like a little fantasy wonderland, and it's one of those pieces that you get to look at for a long, long time, and every time you look at it, you see something different, I hope anyway. There's lots of little details in it. There's a little white rabbit, and there's a fairy girl and all kinds of trees and stars and whatnot. It's an interesting fantasy piece, something I like to do. When I do get a moment, it's usually late at night, so I've been chasing the auroras and the stars a lot lately. You guys can check out my work at www.sarahchisholmphotography.zenfolio.com. That's a mouthful. Also check me out on Facebook at Sarah Chisholm Photography. I'd love if you follow me along, and thanks for checking me out.
Beautiful.
I'm Karen Kozel. I am a photographer in Kincardine, Ontario. My favorite thing to photograph would have to be people. I love people. Geez, I gotta pick my favorite shoot. Hold on, give me a sec here. Probably Jamaica, because a lot of the models that we were shooting there were professional models who had modeled all over the world for Guess and all kinds of different companies. Not really having to pose them, just kind of having to tweak their movements a little bit was definitely a photographer's dream. Yeah, picking a location for shooting can sometimes be tricky due to lighting. Like, you might find the best spot, you think that's the greatest scenery, but you get your model in there and everything is backwards. The sun's in the wrong spot. For bikini shoots, they're most successful first thing in the morning at sunrise.
Have you done many shoots on the Kincardine shoreline?
Oh, I've done a lot of shoots. I've done weddings, bikini shoots, family shoots, pet shoots, children shoots. Yeah, I've done a lot of shooting along these beaches here. And it's great. It really is great. If I'm doing a model portfolio, beforehand we will discuss different looks and different colors for makeup and things like that. Some of the visions that I've had for this particular person, I can kind of bring to life. A lot of models will want to choose their own looks. I find it's kind of levels of their experience. The model who's just starting out will generally say, hey, photographer, fix me up.
All right, do you want to go pose Casey now?
Sure, we can pose Casey.
Awesome.
And away we go.
Okay. Hey, we're back. Thanks for tuning in. So we're here with our musical segment, my homie Skarni. So one of the hardest working guys I ever met in the industry. We used to play together a lot at like Legions and
We've
stuff.
known each other for quite a while.
We've known each other for quite a while, and now we're moving forward on to bigger and better things. This is the first track on your upcoming album?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but first let's hear it. Here's Skarni.
All right, thanks so much.
This song is called Port Hope. Through space and time, never mind how it feels. A guiding light, the wind to show the way. A young man with the mainsail down, being outrun by the storm. He always had a zest for life, and he lived outside of the norm. Chin down into his chest, 2 hands upon the wheel. Brazen eyes and furrowed brow and a shuddering keel. Light on the horizon, and a hope for him still. As the wind begins to build through space and time, never mind how it feels. A guiding light, the wind to show the way. Old man with the rag top down, driving straight into the storm. Son-in-law wide-eyed beside about his next performance. Head up, speed down, both hands relaxed upon the wheel. Eyes on the rain ahead and an even keel. Straight into the horizon and the storm ahead, and the memory he can feel. No new rearview mirror, no miracle mile. Go hard, the road ahead splits from the one behind. Go hard, you just might have a long, long way to go. Just load up on yourself and carry on into the horizon. Through space and time, never mind how it feels. A guiding light, the wind to show the way. Through space and time, through space and time.
Probably on this side, going this side.
So we're done with this, right? Get this out of the way.
Make things, I draw things, I paint things, I build things. Tattoos by day and other things on other days. I started tattooing what I call the wrong way. I started by doing it. I had 4 of my friends who are very close and my friends, and they allowed me to try tattooing on them. One of those people is Scott Duncan, whose shop we work at, Sugar Shack downtown in Kincardine. But it was just years of self-learning and a lot of eyes and ears open and mouth shut while I got tattooed. And then applying all the other principles and theories that I've done in my life to apply to that medium and that art form. A learning process every day. I love it. When I was tattooing and I tried to do some tattoos on myself, it wasn't for practice. And it wasn't that I couldn't get other friends to do it, I just wanted that feedback loop of that experience to feel that and do that and I guess celebrate that. It was kind of fun. This leg, both of those ankle pieces were done a long time ago on myself. I just made a very interesting Iron Man mask for my son, as per his request, not plastic, but real. And it was really fun to bend and shape the metal, and it looks like Iron Man's face shield. So when I made his mask, basically I found, because I'm not inventing this character, I found a line drawing of the Iron Man mask, and then basically I just printed that out, transferred that to the metal. Just like anything I do, it starts with a paper drawing and then end result of whatever medium I'm using. So basically I transferred it to a sheet of steel, cut out the eye holes, mouth holes, shape of the head and all that stuff. Then it's just bending and forming on an anvil or on my leg or other different devices, and beat it into a certain shape and then weld a few of the seams together, and then it's this three-dimensional thing. That was pretty fun. Just played a nice outdoor music festival last weekend, which was really good. Very muddy, but very wonderful too.
What was the festival that we're...
It was in, they call it the Ohm Festival, so it's a summer solstice festival. 3 or 4 stages of music in the electronica vein. I was playing some very dubby, reggae-oriented drum and bass and jungle music. It's just an event to celebrate that time of the year with a crowd of dancing people in the middle of a forest, basically. So a lot of things that I do, I draw them first and create them. Then I go into the other part of my studio and build them, or go to the tattoo shop and tattoo them. Everything starts with a drawing usually.
What is the most memorable tattoo that you've given to somebody?
That is definitely an excellent question, because so many times each individual has a certain need or something dynamic that is fulfilled with that tattoo. In some ways, it's like every tattoo I do, I try to put that into it, even if a client might not feel or see that, but it's hard to say what the most profound image, that's a really hard no, because so many tattoos and so many wonderful people, so many wonderful needs. So it's sometimes tough too. You give something as a tattoo in celebration. Sometimes a tattoo is in deep, heavy memorial. So there's lots of dynamics, positive and negative, where you fulfill someone with a tattoo. And artistically, it's just always fun, so.
Do you do any like art on canvas or anything like that?
Not much anymore, only due to my busyness. But every once in a while, you might do a little painting or drawing like that. But I must admit, I haven't focused a lot of that stuff in the past few years. Also, having kids changes my amount of time I can spend in the studio doing those extra endeavors. You find, like a lot of adults, we end up sort of pragmatizing our artistic efforts to a financial goal to fulfill bigger things, but at least I'm drawing and painting and tattooing to fulfill that, so I like that. Well, one of the greatest things is being with my kids, because they are little energizer batteries on themselves, but also their perspective, and just being with them, sometimes their excitement or their calm is the greatest recharge. A beautiful canoe trip is one of the best ways to recharge. Even just a walk through the bush or walk on the beach can be wonderfully calming and exhilarating at the same time. So I find that's where the recharge happens, you know? It's been quite a wide, very dynamic day today, so thanks for watching Cahoots. I'm Yarko, and we hope to have more Cahoots later. See ya.
And we're back. Thanks for sticking around. So we're here for the next portion of our live show with Skarni. We're going to talk a little bit about, you were telling me just before your performance there that you have a record coming out.
Yes, I do. I just want to, before I get into that though, I just want to say you got a great thing going on here.
Thanks,
great
dude.
Studio, great program. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you on the show.
My pleasure. It's about time.
Yeah.
I finally got to see you. But yeah, I've been busy. I've got a new record coming out. I pick up the physical copies in 3 weeks.
Okay.
I've been working on the project for about 2 years. Takes a while
to
do something right, I guess, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Have you been writing through the process and throwing in material as you go, or?
A couple of the songs are newer songs, and then some of them go back into my personal archives, and I'm always writing, but the material, there's 10 songs on the record, and they span quite a range of time. I mean, some of the songs I even wrote back in the 80s, so but to the listener, they don't know when I wrote it. It's all just new to them.
Totally.
So,
is this your second record?
My second record.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And are you taking it on the road?
Definitely, yes. I'm always on the road. A lot of my shows are private shows. I play a lot of retirement homes, but I'm trying to increase the number of public venues. So I have a goal for next year to play at least 10% of my shows in general public bars and whatnot. Again, that's kind of all gone to the side as I've been so focused on my other. I have these two parallel careers. I play a lot of retirement homes, and then I have my own personal thing on the side. So the balance has sort of shifted toward the retirement homes because that's really my bread and butter. That's where my income is. Yeah. But I need to bring that balance back up. So this record will help me propel that.
Totally. You were saying, like, I think last time I saw you, it might even be like a year or two ago now, but like you were at one point like gigging every day. Like you had, I think you said you did like 350 shows in a year or something.
Well, this year I'll play almost 300 shows.
That's nuts.
And next year, I already have literally 300 shows booked.
Wow.
I'll probably play 400 next year. It sounds like a lot, but these are just 1 hour shows. You can do a couple of them in a day. Yeah. I guess it is a lot. I mean, there's a sort of a physical toll. You play, your hands get tired, your voice gets strained, but it's really pretty manageable. Yeah. And the hours are great playing the retirement homes. So it's better than hanging over a deep fryer all day or something like that. So I've been able to make a living with my music. Not exactly the way I intended to, but like I say, it's better than having a real job, I guess. And
no one wants a Joe job. Yeah. when you make art, you're like, well, I want to make my bread and butter doing this, so I can keep making art.
That's just it. I was determined to find a way to be a full-time musician and get all my income from that, and so it was just the avenue that kind of opened up for me. I used to work in the industry. I have a gerontology background. I used to be a nutritional manager in retirement homes, and so it just sort of fell in, and then I thought, okay, here's an opportunity. And so as I worked it just grew into this element that it's kind of taken over my life. And so, like I say, now I'm trying to bring the polarity back toward the general public audiences. Yeah. Because in the retirement homes, I don't get to sell my CDs. I don't get to play my songs. Doesn't matter to me because I'm playing, I'm having fun, I'm meeting great people, I'm getting experience. Yeah. But I need to push my own product.
So with this record, like all your tunes are original?
All of them are original.
And did you record it yourself too?
No, this has been recorded. I think there's 9 different studios involved in this record. Wow. Big project. My main studio that I've been working with for the last couple of records was a spot down in Shelburne. My engineer, his name is Michael Jack. He's from Barrie, and Michael has his name on at least 20 gold and platinum records. He's worked with Big Sugar, Nelly Furtado, Bono. He's worked with Canadian tenors, all kinds of people. So he's got a lot of experience. So then I presented the idea to him. I said to him, well, I'm going to be touring Canada. I have the odd day off. It'd be really fun to, visit a studio when I'm in Edmonton or wherever. Yeah. And he said, yeah, just have them send me the files and he'll boil it all down. So I toured Canada all of last year. I was on the road for 15 weeks. So I visited studios in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Edmonton I mentioned, Red Deer, Alberta, Chilliwack. I was in Phase 1 in Toronto for the drums a year ago this week, in fact.
You did your own? Yeah, I was going to ask too. Yeah. You have like a full band sound. Did you do all your own tracking?
I did most of the tracking on my own, bass, guitar, vocals, drums, but I also brought in session players. I had 3 guitar session players, and I even had a saxophone player for one song. No way. So yeah, it's got the full ensemble, but I did most of it, yeah.
Okay. So when you're writing, you say you're always writing. Do you just carry a notebook with you, or what's your process?
Always have my notebook, yeah. You see me pull over on the side of the road, it's not to check my phone, it's to take notes. Yeah. I see something, all right, here's something on CBC or whatever, and I got to write that down. Because you know how it is, middle of the night and you have a thought. If you don't write it down, when you wake up, it's gone. So I always have my notebook with me. And I don't know, I just can't seem to slow down the songwriting process. I can't keep up with it. I've got all these songs I want to record, so I have literally a lifetime of material that I hope to get out in the next 10, 20 years, so wish me luck with that.
Yeah. Well, you spoke about vocal strain. I've been thinking, I can't imagine playing that many gigs. Do you have like a regimen that you follow to like keep your voice Like working on
well,
those while
you know, driving here this morning, I put on a record and I just kind of sang along, just lightly, just to kind of warm things up. I guess I'm always kind of warmed up when I'm on tour playing the retirement homes. I'm playing 10, 12, 14 shows in a week. So I'm always kind of warmed up. And then I don't talk a lot because I'm traveling alone, so I get a lot of rest in between shows. So the strain hasn't been unmanageable. It's interesting. I find my speaking voice has gotten deeper while my singing voice has gained range.
That's
the more
great.
I play.
Yeah.
So, but I'm trying not to push it too hard, really. Just trying to take it easy.
Do you prefer to play, like perform solo, or do you like playing with a group?
Well, I wish I had a band. I would love to do that again.
Yeah.
With the gigs that I'm playing right now, it makes sense to do it solo. Playing a dozen shows a week, it's just so much easier to just show up, do your thing. I could set up in 5 minutes, tear down in 5 minutes. I don't have to coordinate, and somebody wants to stop for a cigarette or whatever, I could just go.
Yeah.
So, but it's a bit unsatisfying from the element that I'm by myself all the time. You don't have that camaraderie and that meta art when you bring in elements from other people. You know, I wish I had a fiddle player for some of my retirement shows, and with my own music, obviously, I'd like to have a drummer and a bass player and a full ensemble. So that'll come eventually. Yeah. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah.
Well, and you have a very folky kind of sound when you're playing your guitar and your vocals. What were your influences when you first started writing music? Was there something that inspired you to start writing songs?
Well, most of my songs were written on acoustic guitar, so that probably gives them that folky sound. What inspired me? Every song has its own source, I guess. The song that I played earlier, called Port Hope, that riff, that hook, that melody came to me almost on the first day of my first Canadian tour. I started down in Port Hope area, and I was just kind of considering that name of that town and the whole concept of striking out on this tour, not really knowing how long it would last, if I'd get to do it again. And I've been blessed. I've had 3 full Canadian tours now since, but just the whole concept of planting a seed of hope. And you know what it's like, guys. You're setting out here on an adventure as well, and you just plant that seed and you work it, and you try to hopefully grow something special out of it.
Do you book all your own?
Yeah, it's a pretty big process, although it's much easier now. When I first set out with the retirement home thing, it was all just local, Southern Ontario. But then when I decided to tour Canada, the process is simple enough, but it's laborious. It's just a matter of Googling, say, Lethbridge nursing homes or whatever, and they're all there.
The phone, right?
Then you get on the phone, you get on the email, and you just start working it.
Yeah.
I presented my references, and then so once I had that first tour behind me, then I had references pretty much in every city in Canada.
Yeah.
So now they just rehire me, and then I thicken it up, and every tour is bigger than the last.
So it gets easier as
it's really easy now. Like I say, I've already got next year pretty much entirely booked, and it's only November, so I'm cruising now.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So when you're on the road, do you pass a place and go like, I should call them?
Yes, all the time. There's a notebook thing again. In retirement homes, there's always new builds. It's a vast market. I recommend it to my musician friends. I've had a lot of musician friends say they're intimidated by playing for the old people, but they're not intimidating at all. They're very appreciative, as long as you're giving them what they want to hear. And that's what I do. I'm playing music from the 50s and 60s and anything either side of that. But often I'll see a new build and it's not on Google yet, so I'll take the note down. Or I'm trying to play more general public shows, as I mentioned. So if I see like the Acoustic Grill in Picton, that's a place, I forget where I learned about them, but just booked a show with them for next summer. And that's an example of a place where I just took a note one day, and then when I finally get back to my office or wherever my office happens to be rolling into that afternoon, I'll Google them and make a phone call.
Do you enjoy the hotel, like the stays? Because when I was traveling, I always enjoyed, it became almost like a connoisseur of cheap hotel rooms. Like I would stop and be like, oh, this one doesn't have this random amenity that other one had.
Hot water.
I think the word cheap is sort of the key to your question there. I mean, bottom line is
you know, you only make so many dollars when you're touring. If you stay in a hotel room, that's pretty much your income for the whole day sometimes. So, when I'm on the road for a couple of months, I might stay in a hotel just one night out of the week, just when I really want to break, or if there's a good hockey game on or something like that. I want the TV, but otherwise I'm in campgrounds or just wherever, you know.
That's what we used to do when we were traveling too. But it is so nice to just take that break and go, you know what? Today we're gonna splurge. We're gonna spend a bit of the money we made busking, and we're just gonna jump into a hotel.
Exactly. Because you need a day to just refresh and prepare for the next leg of your travel. Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you stay though. Anytime you're in a strange room, strange bed, strange town, there's always that. It's always hard to sleep when you're somewhere different. So touring, it's like that every night. So it's always this kind of contest between exhaustion and exhilaration, you know. You're tired, but you can't sleep.
I was watching like a little video about Aoki, like Steve Aoki, the DJ.
I think so.
Yeah, and he was saying like he could sleep standing up because
I'm not like that.
his tour schedule is so rigorous, and now they're in different cities like every day, right?
Especially since being a club DJ, you've got to be doing shows at like 2 a.m.
Exactly. So he just says that he just needed to reframe how he thought about home, and that home is really just wherever he is, and then you can relax and get some rest on the road. It's a whole different way of thinking about life.
I've gotten really good at taking naps, let's put it that way.
Sleep when you can.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, Skarni. Is there anywhere they can find your new album? When it drops, where can they find it?
Well, I'm going to pick it up November 27th. I'd be happy to send physical copies to anybody that wants one. You can contact me on my website, skarni.com. That's SKARNI, skarni.com. JamesSkarnicat@gmail.com. Just look me up. I'll be happy to get a copy to you.
We'll put some links in the description to your YouTube and Reverb Nations, where you have more.
I have the song I just played posted on Reverb Nation.
Cool. Okay. Cool. All right. So that maybe wraps up our show today.
Absolutely. And if you've been watching, you've been sticking around the entire time, thank you for tuning in. Our sponsors, as always, are Pick Studio. Patrick, tell them a little bit about what you do here.
Pick Studio, we're an art center focused primarily on music lessons, but we'll walk you right through from if that's your dream to become a musician, but you don't know anything, come here, because we'll give you lessons right through, and we'll even book you some gigs further down the road, but we'll just kind of help you get your feet wet in the music industry. We also, Dylan does an improv comedy class.
Wacky.
We offer art lessons as well. We're always just doing different classes to get people started on their creative journey in whatever medium that may be.
It's a great place.
It is. It's fantastic. This is the best job I've ever had. And of course, our other sponsor, Gem Web. Our producer, Bob, is a fantastic web designer. Soon you'll be able to check out some of his work at cahootsmedia.ca.
Mm-hmm.
So, but until then, look up Gem Web. Where can they find you, Bob? What's your website?
www.gemweb.com, GEMWEBB.com. And also we've got a really exciting project that we're hoping to debut in the next couple months. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on Facebook.
And we'll absolutely be plugging that here. So keep watching. All right. Thank you, Skarni, for coming out.
My pleasure.
A big thanks to Fort Papalia as well for coming out today. And do you have another song that you'd like to play?
Yeah, I can play another song.
Cool.
Sure.
Let's roll out with another song from James Skarni.
This will be the softer of the two, and this is the second single that will be released. Want me to just keep going? Why'd you have to ask me if I'm lonely? Why'd you have to ask me if I'm blue? Why'd you have to ask me? Why'd you have to ask me when you know damn well it's true? Ever since you asked me, I've been lonely. I didn't think I could living as I do.
On a day with too much time to feel, the question you by chance revealed, well, I guess we both already knew. Like a willow leaf falling to the ground, it winds and turns its way on down. The vagaries of currents have their way until it lands without a sound. Listening to the parking lot around me, listening to the car doors and the screams, the dancing lights rain upon the rooftop. Why'd you have to ask me? Why'd you have to ask me? The Assiniboine speckled yellow winding, lovers stroll in summer's last reprieve. It isn't very hard to see reminders right in front of me, and now there's rain in the west. I'm waiting, watching for the rain to come. The prairie sky rolls on. I am left here taking shelter. I am left here thinking about life, listening to the parking lot around me, listening to the car doors and the screams, the dancing lights rain upon the rooftop. Why'd you have to ask me? Why'd you have to ask me?
All right. That was James Skarnicat, stage name Skarni.
Thanks so much.
No problem,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for tuning up. That can include tuning up, tuning in.
I should have tuned up a little
Thanks
bit.
for tuning up. Thanks for tuning in. That wraps up our Cahoots Live for November 5th. Please tune in next week, and we'll be live again at noon.